We now begin the press conference by Prime Minister Abe. First of all, Prime Minister delivered a speech, and we would like to entertain questions later. With that, floor is yours, Prime Minister. With COVID-19 has gone viral across the world. In China, the infection has spread, and followed by South Korea and Italy, the number of infected people has surged. In Japan, it's not as severe as it has been as the other countries are, but day after day that we have identified the people infected. And in reality, the speed of infections, it's possibly can be curved. That's possible. An experts panel announced the view this week. And in order to curtail the speed, this next 1 week and 2 weeks will be the critical moment, whether the speed will surge and rapidly increase or the virus infections will subside. And this is a moment of the truth, based on opinions by experts. Fortnight ahead will be very, very important. Contain outbreak the infections in Japan, and we need to resort to every possible mean. That's why we have made the decisions. Group infections need to be prevented, and how we can do that is critical. Massive infections and its risks need to be warded off. So areas where a number of people will flock, like sports and cultural events across Japan, need to be postponed or cancelled, or maybe they might want to squeeze the size. And this is a request the Japanese government will send and had sent. And a buffet, or standing style dinner party, we have seen some cases where infections have spread. No ventilation, or maybe the spaces were closed. Maybe the unspecified number of people have come together, and we would like to ask for people to avoid the situation. As far as business communities is concerned, we would like to ask them to do everything that they can. And every primary school, junior schools, and junior high schools, and needy schools, starting Monday next week, up to the start of the spring break, they will suspend its education program and classes. That's the request to be sent already. Now, March is the final month for kids. This is right before they graduate. This is right before they start a new fresh year. This is a very important year. The friends, the people will spend time together for happy and any struggling moment. And they spend time together in March. But we need to do this somehow. That's why this is the moment of decisions. Now we have made those decisions, and as minimum as possible can become to hold those events, and these are the measures the parties concerned need to take place. Now, by having schools be off, maybe they could cause inconvenience for parents, especially for those people and parents who have our little kids. It's truly, truly hard and difficult and troublesome for them to take care of them. However, health, safety of kids is of paramount importance. So kids and school staff and teachers will come together on a day-to-day basis and spend and share space together. And by doing so, the risks for infections will elevate. We want to minimize those risks. And
just in case at schools, children are infected in groups, and that is the last thing that we'd like to see. With that intention in mind, then the government has filed a request. We are enjoying support from teachers and schools and municipal governments. I'd like to express my appreciation to those stakeholders, people in companies. They have to pay special care to their employees with children. In particular, companies are suffering from shortage of people. SMEs in particular, they have a shortage of workers, medical experts, then people in charge of nursery care, the child care. Then I know that those people will be bothered quite a lot by the government request to reduce the burden for younger children. Then to accommodate at the schools, we will take all the possible measures. In after-school childcare programs will be done like those in the spring break. The government is ready to touch all the bases to give support to schools and parents. The parents may suffer reduction in their incomes. The government is going to set up a subsidy system to help those parents. Whether they are regular workers and part-time workers, those workers will be considered and taken care of the Japanese government. I made a decision I'm talking about right now. Therefore, it is at my responsibility that government is going to play all the cards possible to deal with all the challenges and issues. And that is based on my strong resolve. Over 270 billion yen. We're going to use budget reserves of that much. The second round of emergency measure will be done within 10 days from now without losing any time. The COVID-19 infection is breaking out across the world. Then foreign tourist traffic to Japan is diminishing. Whether or not Japanese companies can maintain their production lines, those concerns are rising up. Regardless of the types of industries, we're going to use subsidy systems for employment adjustment. Then, retroactive to January, the government is going to give support to Japanese companies and SMEs. SME operators are suffering and they are faced with various challenges. Then we'd like to make a system to understand then what is happening to the environment. We give financial support very strongly. Then we will try to have countermeasures to minimize impact on regional economy. On this occasion, from the standpoint of the infection prevention, IT technology such as teleworking will be utilized. In every corner of society, the remote work will be introduced, and Japanese government is going to carry out all the transformations in a future-oriented manner. Stock markets in the world, the stock prices are nosediving. We pay due attention to what is happening in the global economy, then we're going to carry out fiscal and the financial measures to absorb the impact taking place in the stock markets of the world. To date in Japan, 5 people died due to coronavirus infection. Among the passengers on the Diamond Princess, 6 people passed away. I would like to express my cordial condolences to those people, to their family members. I'd like to express my sympathy to the family members of the victims. Many people in Japan on the virus infection, I know that they have various anxieties and concerns about the cause of the infection, including passengers on the cruise ship. To date, in Japan, people tested positive. Of those people, over 140 people have already recovered from the disease, and they went out of the hospitals. Even though people are infected with the disease, many people will not in the critical conditions. In many cases, they can recover from the disease, and this is the evaluation of the experts. The hospitalization period is longer for this coronavirus than the influenza, particularly the elderly people with chronic diseases. the risks are high that they could be in critical conditions after getting infected. So therefore, government is trying to expand the expansion of the infection. The government is trying its best. But we try to minimize the number of the people in critical conditions due to the infection. We are poised to set up a complete medical and the examination systems. The NID is carrying out a PCR test. Then since last month, the regional institutes of health, then the colleges, universities, and private the research laboratories have been given the reagent, then testing equipment. Then we try to enhance their capacities to carry out tests. As a result, at this moment, across the nation, per day, over 4,000 tests can be carried out in Japan under the current capacity. Right now, we have regional institute of health and the colleges are being given to reagents so that we can beef up their capacities to carry out PCR test. On PCR test, there are some people who would like to be tested, but they are declined by the public health centers, and we have lots of those opinions, indications, report to us. Public health centers belong to municipal governments, but in case doctors are suspicious about the infection, then we ask them to carry out PCR test on the possible patients. Then we have to prevent the patients from refusing the test due to the limited capacity. But each region, each institution's government is going to give support to those institutions to carry out PCR test. By the end of next week, the PCR test will be covered by public insurance schemes. So therefore, then without using the insurance usage, request can be made directly to private examination institutes. Then private organizations in charge of PCR test are going to enhance their capacities. PCR test takes a couple of hours. This is a process to detect the virus. The time can be reduced to 15 minutes. We are in the process of carrying out a quick fix test equipment. For the past 1 week, we have worked very hard to increase accuracy of test, the creation of reagent. Then we aim at starting this service by the end of March. By doing all the possible measures, in case you need to support from doctors in your neighborhood, then all the patients can go through PCR test. We are going to have sufficient capacity to make it happen to prevent from patients from getting into critical conditions. Securing the sufficient number of beds is necessary. Over 2,000 beds for infectious diseases available in Japan. During emergencies, we try to expand the number of beds to over 5,000 beds to deal with infectious diseases. That is what the government is going to do. Support is given from the government to hospitals, and all the available beds that will be utilized so that we can prevent the rapid increase of patients from going up. That we will be fully prepared medically. The COVID-19 at this moment, there are no drugs and medicines to treat the COVID-19 like the one we have for influenza. That is the biggest reason for the outbreaks of the disease worldwide. There are 3 medicines, including Avigan, is being considered by Japan whether those medicines can be effective to COVID-19. Those medicines have already been given to patients to see whether those medicines are effective or not. In basic researches, and those medicines proved to be effective at the laboratory basis. we get agreements from patients. Then we give those medicines to those patients so that we can come up with the treatment drugs for COVID-19 as soon as possible. We have to prepare for the worst situation under crisis. It is quite important for us to get prepared for the worst case scenario. Governor Suzuki of Hokkaido declared an emergency, and over this weekend, and he asked the people in Hokkaido not to go out. The government as well is going to have a special measure for the employment subsidy system. Whether they are regular workers or part-time workers, we give support to those workers for the reduction of their incomes. We provide the necessary items and goods to those people who are suffering. In some regions, in case there is a sudden outbreak of the disease in some regions in Japan, then how the government is going to act? Space game plans must be set out as soon as possible. Government has announced basic policies, but we have to be prepared for all the possibilities that we can think about so that impact on the people's life can be minimized. We'll proceed with legislation to make it happen. Going forward, the life of people, the safety of the people is the most important on the agenda of the government. We will never hesitate to take out necessary steps. That's my resolve. On the COVID-19 I'm talking about, there are many things that we have no idea. We have this enemy is not something we can see, and we have no idea how this enemy is going to behave. Frankly speaking, I don't believe that Japan can fight successfully against this battle at the capacity of government. The municipal governments, then households and people, then we have to get understanding and support from each person in Japan. That is, we have to have. I made a decision having direct impact on the people's life. I understand that opinions are divided. Some people are critical about what I announced. I am very sincere to listen to what they have to say because I am the head of the government. But still, I'm a Prime Minister of Japan. I have to protect the life of people. That's the greatest responsibility coming upon my shoulders. So therefore, to fulfill my responsibility, I have to make a decision that I have to make as the head of this government. We cannot be optimistic about the way or course to improve the situation. The battle ahead of us is very serious, and we have to take it for granted. I know that there has been great impact on the life of people, but once again, I'd like to ask each one of the people in Japan to give us your support.
But we can definitely overcome this difficulty. Now, before I close my speech, the people working on the quarantine in Diamond Princess and the people working on the front line with the fighting against the virus, such as medical professionals and all the people concerned, we would like truly appreciate their efforts. And we need to prevail this fight against the coronavirus, and we need to ask for cooperation from them. That is all from myself. Now we would like to entertain questions from the floor. For those of you who want to ask questions, please raise your hand. I would like to nominate you. So please state your name and affiliations in asking questions. First of all, from Leading Press Club. This is Higashioka from Asahi Newspaper. Primary, junior high school, and high schools and those schools will be suspended temporarily. Back on 27th of February, abruptly, out of a sudden, you announced it, and there was no specific account by the government. Schools and households, the confusions were made. What's your view on that? And not only that, with this request, even within the ruling parties have criticized the government's response, the economic impact to the citizen, how much the government can minimize its impact. What is your outlook going forward? And one more question. In China, President Xi Jinping plans to come to Japan and Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics. Are these events will be held as planned? Well, with this request, 2 kids. Now, March is a final month, right before the graduation, right before they start a fresh new year, and they need to take off from school. Now, that decision has to be made. And also, this decision might have caused inconveniences for all the people concerned, including the people working on schools and family members. However, next 1 week and 2 weeks will be critical whether this infection has spread rapidly or this virus infections can be evaded. Now, this is the moment where we are at right now. Now, the safety and health of kids are of primary importance. Now, group infections in schools need to be avoided by any means. Now, that's why I made such a decision. Now, I discussed with experts. Now, 1 week and fortnight will be important. And there is no time available for us to ponder and contemplate any longer, including ruling parties. Some opinions were due and valid. However, I have some responsibility, and we had to make some decisions. That's why we would like to ask for understanding from the people in Japan. However, that said, associated with the decision, there were some difficulties ahead. So, in my church, we would like to cover all the bases. Now we are standing at the moment of the watershed to contain the outbreak. Infections spread across Japan need to be contained, and we would like to spare no effort to contain the outbreak. I know such inconveniences might be caused by this decision to families, but every single Japanese person's effort will be appreciated. Now, the plans of President Xi Jinping visit to Japan, at this point in time, there is no change in our plan. However, this President Xi Jinping and President of China visit to Japan is taking place in a decade, and we need to consider that well. So between Japan and China, we would like to closely communicate and work in hand with China on that topic. And also, as far as Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics goes, in order to hold the games, IOC and Tokyo Organizing Committee and Tokyo Metropolitan Government, we would like to closely work with them and athletes and to the people watching the games. These events need to be held in safely and for security, and we would like to have a watertight operations for that.
じゃあ幹事社からも
So another question from the coordinating the press company, then this is TV Asahi. You mentioned the new legislation to deal with the issue. The ruling parties and opposition parties asking for supplementary budget. In our life, there is a shortage of masks and toilet papers. Those materials, products are not available at stores in Japan right now. Would you please let me know how the government is going to deal with the matter, the legislation? I believe the legislation should be done as soon as possible to the opposition parties, including the party leaders meeting between the ruling parties and opposition parties. I wonder if government is going to ask for cooperation from the opposition parties. In some regions, in case there is a sudden, the rapid infection expansion, how the government is going to work, we have to brace for the worst case scenario. Then we have to make preparation in advance. We have to think about all the possibilities so that we can minimize the impact on people's life. The government is going to proceed with legislation to make it happen. And early legislation is necessary, and this view is shared, I think, by both ruling parties and opposition parties' members. I'd like to have talks and dialogues with the members of opposition camp. I'd like to ask for their support. That's what I have in mind. You asked a question about the budget for this year. Over 270 billion yen, the budget reserves. Only 1 month to go left in the fiscal year. We still have unused budget reserves of that much. A second round of the emergency measure will be compiled as soon as possible. By school closures, the parents have to take off duty, then giving financial support, then enhancement of medical systems. We deal with the impact on activities of SMEs. Those measures will be specified by the government. The situation that changes day to day. Necessary countermeasures will be done by the government without losing any time. That's my idea. Face masks. We are giving support to manufacturers to manufacture the masks. In March, the manufacturing will be doubled from March. Over 600 million masks will be provided in March. This amount is greater than demand. That is what is going to happen. Then we'd like to ask people to act calmly when they try to buy those products. Toilet papers, you mentioned. In some regions of Japan, then there is a shortage of toilet papers in some regions in Japan. This is due to the groundless rumors. They are not facts. And those rumors are going viral. Almost all the toilet papers consumed in Japan are manufactured in this country. China, we don't have to care. There are no problems taking place in supply chains, including that of China. It has no relationship. We have a sufficient amount of inventories and manufacturing capacities are available in Japan. They like to ask consumers in Japan to act calmly when they go to shops. It is a matter of course that people act to protect themselves and their family members. Government will communicate the information to the end immediately. That's what I have in mind. Thank you.
I'd like to take questions, including foreign media and other medias, excluding the leading press club. Matsumoto-san first. This is Matsumoto from NHK. Thank you very much for this opportunity. My question is related to charter flights and Diamond Princess. Now you have taken some responses. However, in Japan, infections had still spread. Now we are starting to enter a new phase. However, up to this point, what are the things you want to look back and want to impose to a change? Now, the politics is all about results. How do you see that? Yes, this COVID-19, there were many things that are unclear and unforeseen for us. And against the backdrop, we have the base on the opinions from the experts. And we should think out of the precedents, and we need to protect the safety and health of the people, and we didn't think twice and execute the measures. Now, every single day that we have identified the people infected in Japan, that's where we are right now. But right now is the critical mission critical time to contain the outbreak. We need to contain the spread of the virus, and we would like to resort to any possible means. Now, it's very, very thorny road ahead to prevail the fight against virus. But people working on the front line, it's doing their best, I believe. Whether or not the decision at that point or back then was right or not, we need to learn the lessons from the past. And including myself, it's very important to look back on what we did while learning the lessons from these past and experiences, and we would like to leading up to the next opportunity. Now, so far, I said the politics is all about results and outcome. And of course, I've never thought about in a million years I would try to avoid responsibility. As a Prime Minister of Japan, lives and livelihood of Japanese people need to be protected, and I like to stand at the forefront. And there is no determination change to myself.
Then we'd like to have a question from a reporter other than coordinating press company. This is Yomiuri. Can I ask a question? The entry ban or entry restraint. The Hubei Island, Zhejiang the province, and Hubei province, and the Daegu and the Chando are the regions where the people have travel restrictions, entry restrictions from. The ruling party is saying that Japanese government should expand those areas on entry ban. Then what's your idea on this? The visitors and foreign people coming from the areas where the coronavirus was rampant, and for the foreign passengers on board on the cruise ships where the infection is taking place, then we use the immigration control laws. The Hubei province was the first of those territories on the February the 1st, thinking about the number of traffic, and Zhejiang province was added. On 27th, and Daegu of South Korea became one of those regions where the entry ban is imposed. Infection situation is changing from day to day. To which regions of the world the government is going to put the entry restraint is we look at the travel restrictions, then infection expansion. We'd like to take the work flexibly without any hesitation to protect the life of people in Japan.
Any media, including Foreign Press Club, the final question. The woman wearing glasses? Woman wearing glasses. Yamaguchi from AP Press. My question is related to your response against Diamond Princess. Over 700 passengers and crews contracted the virus. There were some challenges that people point out to contain outbreak and spread the virus. Now, the infection has spread in Japan. Now, with an eye to the future of holding Tokyo Olympics and Paralympic Games, now the crisis management of Japanese government has been tested, and this is garnering attention from the world. Now, what are the lessons you learned? How would you like to bring it to life and leading up to the next lesson? Well, as far as Diamond Princess is concerned, the many and diverse people have stayed in Diamond Princess, and this is the massive infections of COVID-19, and this is unprecedented for us at Japan. Now, passengers and crews in Diamond Princess, the starting 5th of February, we have identified the first patients, and PCR testing has started, and 14 days we have started to ask for them to stay, and we have done everything we were able to do. Now we learned some intelligence and knowledge and an outbreak infection measures were effectively done, and opinions were raised so by the experts. And some people, after the observation period, got off the Diamond Princess. That decision was made. Now, infection has spread across Japan. Now, in order for the virus to abate, this is a very important time. That's how we perceive the situation, based on the basic policies. Now, situation has altered moments after moments. The Japanese people and the local governments and the people concerned, we would like to mobilize all the possible means to contain the outbreak. Now, Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics will be coming. Now, Baha, the chairman of IOC, said the prompt response and reaction by Japanese government has been highly evaluated. Now, 2020, Tokyo Olympics and Paralympic Games will be successful, and that's what he wished for. And as soon as possible, we would like to cross over current difficulties. And people watching the games and athletes can be relieved and challenged for the game. And that's how the game should be. And we would like to be fully prepared for that successful Paralympic Games. Now we have run over the planned time. So we would like to close the press conference. Thank you very much for cooperation. Apologies, we have run over a lot for the time that we wanted to close the session, so we would like to end the session. Thank you very much.